My name is Kat Alioshin, and I co-produced Mermaids on Mars. My initial entrance into stop-motion animation was Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation. I just really enjoyed animation that way. They introduced me to a lot of filmmakers, and I got very excited about this whole frame-by-frame process. I then moved up to the Bay Area and was one of these fortunate people who started on Nightmare Before Christmas as almost a fluke in a way. I was asked to be a PA, and then sort of history. I mean, that was an amazing project to work on, and worked with Henry Selick, continuing to work on James and Giant Peach with him, Monkey Bone, Coraline. And I was fortunate enough to go to England to work on Corpse Bride. So I've had a lot of experience in stop motion, and I love every second of it. Being a co-producer on a short film, it involves hiring the crew, getting the facilities, arranging all the fabrication, figuring out the budget, staying within budget, and managing the schedule, and just day-to-day managing everyone coming into work and what we're shooting that day, and special equipment needed. Sometimes we do motion control shots, and you need to have special cameras for that. I think one of the biggest challenges for me on this smaller project was the budget was set. Usually when I do bidding or consulting, we plan a budget and then it becomes a number. Well, we already had the number. So one of the challenges was trying to fit the puppet build, the set build, even the storyboard artist. Everyone had to fit into this fairly small number. And we still wanted the quality to remain high. So we were able to work with Bay Area talent. So one of my favorite things to do on these stop motion projects is scheduling. I've sort of figured out a little formula for me, and it's been working really well on these projects. And what you tend to do is you take the time, say a 20-minute project, and you figure out how many frames per second is in that time. So we shoot at 24 frames per second. So then you just do the math and you figure out the frames, and then you figure out how many frames a day your animators can shoot. And so that really puts you into a ballpark. If I have 2 animators shooting 40 frames per day, how many frames can I shoot in a week? And then you do the math from there. So it really is about the frame count and the length of the project. If someone comes to me and says, I have a 20-minute project, and I only have this amount of money, I say, well, if you could make it 10 minutes, you'll be able to finish it when you want to finish it. So it's about frame counts. Often people ask me about how many frames animators are used to doing on these projects, and we had some incredible animators working with us, Amy Adamy and Justin Cohn. So on feature work, when we're dealing with multiple characters in the frames, with the set there, not green screen, we would expect at least 40 frames per day, which is only 2 seconds. But on this, we really had to push. We were in a facility that we needed to move out of, and then just, the longer someone works, the longer they get paid. So we really pushed them to get up anywhere up to 80 frames per day, 100 frames per day. I mean, it was a lot different than feature work, where it's about 40 frames per day. So Mermaids on Mars, for budgetary reasons and just time, we ended up shooting a lot of green screen. We generally like to shoot what we call practical, which would be building a set and shooting the character within that set, because then you're not adding a lot of composites later. So John Peters and I, when we first started budgeting this, thought we're going to try to do everything practical, and we had Tom Proust, the production designer, sort of all planned on doing a lot of practical shooting. But just as time went on and the cost of building the sets and multiple sets, because we had multiple animators, we ended up doing a lot of green screen. So we had a tricky part of the film where we weren't just completely stop motion animated. We have live action in this as well. One of the challenging things of having a live action actor is we needed a redhead live action actor, and we interviewed lots of people in the Bay Area, but we ended up going with a natural redhead from Los Angeles, Nathan Kaywood, who plays the part of Julian. And John Peters had come to me saying he had found this live action mermaid, which I didn't realize that there is quite a community of mermaids out there. So we started looking, and we found this wonderful gal, Moon Mermaid, who also had her hair is blue normally, but we needed to match Oceana's hair color, which is a purple and a blue. We needed to create a matching live action wig to the puppet wig. So we're talking a completely different scale. You're talking a little wig about this big to a live action wig to fit an actress. So we had Bird McCargar working on that wig, and that was just another one of these actually exciting and fun moments of trying to match something perfectly from a puppet to live action. Budget drove many of our decisions, including the lip sync process, where we ended up using what we call, it's just a sticker mouth, as opposed to lip syncing every frame to a face, which you can, again, do the math and you will have a lot of faces to get just a sentence out. So one of the things that made this project so fun was that we were able to work in the Bay Area and use this Bay Area talent. We have a lot of people from these feature films I mentioned earlier that still live here and work here. So we had a really close-knit crew, and we set up a shop really close to Athena Studios in Emeryville, and it becomes this little home away from home. I think one of the most rewarding things for me working on stop motion is that it is a unique style of filmmaking, and I'm always so proud when I mention to people the kind of work that I do. It's a specialty. It's almost considered archaic, the way we shoot these little puppets on these handcrafted stages. I have to say I'm Team Mermaid. We have the trio, the trifecta of Oceana, Laguna, and Aquamarina. I just love them as a team. I know Oceana is the sort of lead of the gals, but when they sing their song, it's just one of my favorite parts of the short.